Israel has said that any violation of the ceasefire agreement by Hezbollah will be met with fire. IDF spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari has said Israeli forces on Wednesday engaged army militants and killed them while enforcing the agreement. Hagari showed a map of the area in southern Lebanon where Israeli forces are still operating and called on the Lebanese residents not to return until informed.
The
IDF is acting carefully. Any violation will be met with fire. IDF sources are still taking positions in southern Lebanon in villages and areas where there will be a gradual withdrawal according to the agreement. The Air Force planes are still hovering over the skies of Lebanon, gathering intelligence and ready to act as needed.
Israeli Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Herzi Halevi has said IDF forces will hit Hezbollah operatives who approach the troops and the border area and the villages within the area marked by the forces.
The activity in Lebanon was very determined, and the enforcement of the agreement will be even more determined. With determination, according to the guidelines approved yesterday by the Minister of Defense, the Prime Minister and the Cabinet, Hezbollah operatives who will approach our troops, the border area and the villages within the area we have marked will be struck.
Meanwhile, tens of thousands of Lebanese displaced by the war between Israel and Hezbollah headed back to their devastated towns and villages as a ceasefire took hold. Under the terms of the deal that brought the war to a halt, the Lebanese military started reinforcing its presence in the country's south, where Hezbollah has long held sway. On the other hand, in its first statement since the truce between the two sides took effect, Lebanese militant group Hezbollah has said it has achieved victory over Israel. The Iran-backed group added that Hezbollah fighters will remain in total readiness to deal with Israel's ambitions and its attacks. Over in Gaza, an airstrike killed 9 people in the north as Israel kept up its bombardment. According to Gaza Health Ministry, the strike hit a shelter for displaced people in Al-Tabin school in Gaza City's Daraj district. The Israeli army has said that it quote-unquote eliminated a suspect in a May 2002 bombing which injured 10 civilians in the Israeli city of Beersheba. IDF said it also struck dozens of Hamas targets in the combat zone in the northern towns of Jabalia and Beit Lahiya. The army claimed during the operation, Hamas operatives fired anti-tank missiles from the Indonesian hospital at the troops. Furthermore, relatives of hostages held for over a year in the Gaza Strip blocked the entrance to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's Knesset office on Wednesday, demanding that he meet with them and promote a hostage deal to free their loved ones. U.S. National Security Advisor has said President Joe Biden will launch a renewed drive for a Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal. Jake Sullivan said Hamas is facing increased pressure to cut a deal now that Lebanon's Hezbollah group is no longer fighting in solidarity with the Palestinian militant group. Also, in a poll released by Israel's Channel 12, Prime Minister Netanyahu's current bloc is projected to be failing to secure a majority in the Knesset. Parties backing the current government are expected to secure 51 seats, while opposition parties will hold 69 in 120 members Israeli parliament. According to this poll, loss of 7 seats expected for Netanyahu's Likud party, even though it retains the status as the biggest party with 25 projected seats. The survey conducted by Midgam Consulting also gauged the views on the Lebanon ceasefire. 37% of the respondents back it, 32% oppose it, while 31% say that they are undecided. Let's now get some perspective. We are being joined by Dr. Mordechai Kedar from Tel Aviv. He is a former senior IDF military intelligence officer, an Israeli scholar of Arabic culture, and a lecturer at Ber Ilan University. Dr. Kedar, thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast. Now, let me begin by asking you, we have the ceasefire that is holding up in its early days, of course, and we have a poll that suggests Netanyahu's ruling bloc is projected to lose its majority. Could you bridge this for us from the battlefield to the Knesset?
Look, any poll conducted by Channel 12 is totally unreliable because Channel 12 expresses the opposition. This is why it is highly politicized, and nobody here in Israel believes Channel 12. So I'm a little bit confused that you in WION quote this totally unreliable Channel 12 here in Israel. But, you know, freedom of speech is given to everybody, even to those who are irreliable. This is one thing. Second thing, yes, the Israeli population are divided between those who support the ceasefire with Hamas, with Hezbollah in Lebanon, because they want to put an end to any war. The others who are against it, who are also like a third of the population, they are afraid that this only is the beginning of the next war. Because if Hezbollah is allowed to come back to the villages in the south and to renew its power, because the world doesn't do anything against terror organizations, so we are going to face the same problem in 2, 3, or 4 years. And don't forget that we are facing in Hamas, in Gaza, and in Lebanon with Hezbollah, the same problem which India is facing, as we saw in Mumbai, in the big attacks on Mumbai. The same terrorism which comes from the same ideas of destruction against everybody who doesn't share with them the religion and the culture.
I want to go back to a statement you made. You said Israel is willing to put an end to any war. Right after the ceasefire that we saw between Hezbollah and Israel, Hamas came forward and said they are ready to talk for a ceasefire. Is Israel willing to do that?
Israel wants to clean Gaza from Hamas. If Hamas remains in Gaza, it will repeat what they did on October 7, 2023. No doubt, because these are jihadists. And to change their mind, so this is why we insist on, first of all, releasing the hostages. Secondly, not to let Hamas return to the power and to their ability to repeat what they did on October 7, 2023.
Dr. Kedar, with all due respect, we have been hearing that from Israel for the past 1 year. Give us a timeline. It's been more than a year. How long more?
No. Just to remind you, the war between Iran and Iraq lasted for 8 years. The war between the Houthis and Saudi Arabia was also many years. Here in the Middle East, nobody can stand with a stopwatch and wait for the end of wars. This is not the area. This is not India here. Here people are belligerent. Here people are fighting with each other forever. The Sunni and the Shia are fighting each other for 14 centuries. Okay, this is the Middle East. I wish we would live here in an environment like India.
Dr. Kedar, I spoke to a political analyst just yesterday who said something on the lines of, actually called Donald Trump, the president-elect of US, the peace president. In fact, he said that Israel is just waiting for Donald Trump to take office because they would give a free hand to Benjamin Netanyahu if he stays in office, that is, till January. The thing is, the reason I'm bringing this up, just let me continue. The reason I'm bringing this up because this was a political analyst speaking to me from Tehran. How do you react to that?
The question is not the free hand which the United States under Trump will give Netanyahu. The question is what the United States will do against the biggest threat on the world peace, Iran, which supports the terrorism in Yemen, which, it harms India because the trade of India with Europe is under big difficulties because of the Houthis, which are armed and trained and sponsored by Iran. The same thing with all the terrorism in Iraq, in Syria, in Lebanon, in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, and I believe in India as well, which is sponsored by the main source of terrorism today in the world, which is Iran. The question is, what will the next administration in the United States do with this problem, which threatens the stability and the peace all over the world, not only here in Israel?
Dr. Kedar, it's unfortunate. I'll have to leave the conversation with that. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.